Hello, this is Chris Brown of CIBSE Patrons, and today, the 19th of May, we're at Westminster Central Hall for a discussion between three presidents, the presidents of CIBSE, RIBA and B&ES, the Building and Engineering Services Association. The three presidents, and that is Nick Mead, the CIBSE president, Stephen Hodder, president of RIBA, and Andy Sneyd of B&ES, will be talking about cross-sector collaboration and how their respective organisations can work more closely together.
And the client, the cost management, they lead this, to be honest. We all blame each other, but it all comes down to the cost at the end.
The points that were made about a rapidly changing world and resources under pressure, that could describe construction and contracting very much so, because our resources are constantly under pressure, and the world is changing. If you look at the role of a contractor today, it is hugely different to what it was even 10 years ago.
At the moment, I think we have an issue with regard to the degree of penetration. There's a huge amount of work to be done yet to really get that penetration so that everybody understands the meaning of collaboration. Because it's not just about knowledge share, it's about a whole culture of working together.
Is there something that should be actually joining up all these so that there is a common interface between all the different associations that are out there?
We need to have a broader voice for building services. And the only way we can do that is if we start to collaborate more within the institutions and the associations. If you look at the complexity of building services now in some projects, a new build, it could be anything between 30 and 45% of the project value. In the refurbishment sector, it could be even higher than that. And we do have a fragmented voice. And from a contractor's perspective, that can be seen as equally frustrating as I know it is within the wider supply chain as well. So I think the more people that start to ask those sort of questions, I think the more that people will start to think about it more seriously.
And the thing is, we don't actually recognise, and it's a fault of us as we don't blow our trumpet. We're always highlighting the bad buildings because they're the ones that make it. But there's some brilliant buildings out there. There really are some brilliant buildings out there. We need to recognise it and have awards and start shouting and let people start seeing how good we really are. And we're just no good at that. And that's where the institutions can work.
In a way, the sort of collaboration that we've seen with CIBSE and the RIBA over the last, sort of 3 or 4 years, is really healthy in the way in which we should be moving forward. And I just think that it may well be that on some of these subjects for collaboration, and they are identified in the EDGE report, that the way to do with it, I think, is a smaller group. I just worry that the CIC and the machinery are just too cumbersome to make it happen.
I think we radically need to change our education system to really embrace multidisciplinary design, get people a flavour of it, and then you specialise. And I think people should move on into have some coring in what construction's all about for the first couple of years, and then specialise.
That a lot of the traditionally trained apprentice skills that you would have probably had 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they're not relevant in a lot of instances today. So the way that we deliver buildings is through a multidiscipline workforce. So they need to have lots of skills. So we're not de-skilling, we need to re-skill.
I think there is another side of it as well, I think companies within our industry need to take some responsibility for that as well, of educating their people about different parts of the industry. So for example, we've taken people from a physics degree, architectural technician, and an industrial product designer, but we've then gone to consultants, contractors and said, will you have them for a month? And nobody's turned us down. And that's maybe we need to do more about, where we're actually accepting we need to take some of the younger engineers and ask them to be moved into different places. And we've been really encouraged by people prepared to do that.
People now want to have the flexibility, so that by having a mechanical engineering degree, it gives them the opportunity to work for Range Rover, JCB, the Navy, Lang O'Rourke, Intech, doesn't matter. But this is where we've gone. So unless we can try and instill a building services type degree that is, and recognises there is a future in this industry, people will take a degree. It's like, we talk about electrical degrees, it's electronics, it's all electric, so the individual has the opportunity to go into any career path, and that's what the universities are selling them, because they need to get the intake to bring money in.
You know, in this room, we all look predominantly sort of 40 and perhaps over, if people don't mind admitting to that. But if you actually had this debate with the graduates coming into the industry, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, they talk a completely different language. They don't particularly talk about adversarialism because they haven't experienced it.
But what you see in industry today, we're talking about wider collaboration coming out of the silos, and yet the young people that come in, we put them in the silos, don't we?
Yeah.
They sit in a box, and you do lighting design, don't you? And 25 years ago, it wasn't like that, and it's a really good point.
We have been for nearly 2 years now re-examining our education. The architectural education model dates back to 1958. 1958, so we're in a different world now than 1958, and so RIBA Council only in March approved a 5-point plan to rethink architectural education. So you have the new London School of Architecture, which will be practice-based, and increasingly schools of architecture are looking at a much closer alliance between academia and practice.
We need to be talking at an association level much more, and Stephen's point, I think we need to be much more strategic in the conversations that we're having.
The issue for me is not one of collaboration within practice. The issue for me is collaboration at the institutional level.
Better collaboration across these areas will deliver better overall performance. But this needs to be led by the institutions, not the individual companies.